Today's video is going to be a follow-up to a video I made 11 months ago where I compared the Nintendo Switch editions of Mortal Kombat 1 and Mortal Kombat 11. As you know, I recently went back to MK11, so my comparisons now are going to be a lot fresher in my mind instead of just trying to recollect what my experience was years ago when I used to play it. But before we get into the video, do me a solid and hit the like button real quick so YouTube pushes this video out to more people. And I also got a Discord link in the description, so make sure to check that out. So in getting to the video, first we're going to start off with a little bit of history on both these games on this system. MK11 was a PlayStation 4 generation game that got ported to the Switch in 2019. It had issues, but it generally was looked upon favorably by people on the Switch. But in terms of performance, it never really was able to keep up with the PS4 counterpart for obvious reasons. The PS4 just has way more horsepower than the Switch, but the Switch was able to run it admirably. Mortal Kombat 1, on the other hand, was a PlayStation 5 game that was ported to the Switch. It ended up not being received well at all when it launched on the Switch. It had too many issues. In fact, it had so many issues that when it launched that you can really only assume that there was no quality assurance that went on at all. But it's been a year and 3 months since it released, and there have been many patches, and a lot of those problems have been fixed, but obviously not all of them. So today, since I already made a longer video a year ago, today I'm going to make a shorter one focusing mostly on the online performance. I've got about 1,400 matches played total in Mortal Kombat 11 for the Switch, with give or take about 50 of them having been in the last 3 days. I first played MK11 when it launched in 2019, and then I played it religiously for a few months until I dropped it because I couldn't stand the way that the online performed. And at the time, I had Dragon Ball FighterZ on the Switch, and that game was just a way better game, so I stuck with that instead. But as far as Mortal Kombat 11 goes, the online for me, now that I've played it again for about 50 or so matches, like I said in the last few days, I would say that the online, since I've been gone, it either improved on the server side at least a little bit, or maybe it's the fact that now I'm using a LAN adapter. That probably makes it feel a little bit better, but really it's not a total 180 from what it was before. The online in MK11 for the Switch still has major issues, like for example, fatal blows and crushing blows bring the game to a total halt almost completely. It's not always the case, but it usually is. What you're watching is not an anomaly. This happens in almost every single match. These slowdowns during the cutscenes and matches happen very often. Online matches in general tend to be pretty slow, especially if you compare it to the PS4 version. Most menus in matches tend to load faster in MK11 than in MK1. Visually, when it comes to the graphics, Mortal Kombat 11 is overall a lot easier on the eyes than Mortal Kombat 1. Things do have a blurrier look to them, while textures on the character models look better in MK1, at least in some areas. They don't have that blurry look to them is what I mean, but on the other hand, the lack of facial expressions for the characters in MK1, it gives them all like a plastic quality that's not the case in Mortal Kombat 11. Stage backgrounds look better in Mortal Kombat 11. In motion, MK11 looks better, but what might come as a surprise to you is that Mortal Kombat 1 actually feels better. This is where MK1 shines on the Switch. The online is phenomenal. Okay, maybe not phenomenal, but compared to other fighting games on the Switch, it's pretty phenomenal. Nobody can play MK11 on Switch and then play MK1 on Switch online and say that Mortal Kombat 11 is better when it comes to the online. It's just not. Okay, it's just not. While neither game comes close to their home console counterpart when it comes to the online performance, MK1 hits a lot closer than MK11 does. I'll say it like this: if Mortal Kombat 11 had MK1's online, I never would have dropped it. There's a reason I've got only 1,400 matches in Mortal Kombat 11, a game that came out in 2019, versus almost 4,500 in Mortal Kombat 1 on the Switch, which came out like a little over a year ago. I dropped MK11 because of how bad the online was, and while it does seem better now, it still, even now, pales in comparison to Mortal Kombat 1. As an overall package though, counting everything that you get and not limiting it to just the Nintendo Switch version, then Mortal Kombat 11 is the superior game. So in conclusion, if you're debating whether you should buy Mortal Kombat 1 versus Mortal Kombat 11 and you have no intention of playing online, then I think the better choice is buying Mortal Kombat 11. But if the online is an important aspect to you and you need it to perform at least halfway decently, then Mortal Kombat 1 is the game to get. Both games are pretty bare bones offline anyways. If you're offline only, then in both games you really only get arcade mode, which is towers, and story mode and local CPU offline matches. The Crypt in Mortal Kombat 11 and Invasions in Mortal Kombat 1 are not available offline for some reason. When it comes to the status of both games, obviously MK11 is, in theory, it's a dead game. At least it's supposed to be dead. It's not going to be updated any longer. MK1 is the current game, but it's not doing so hot. In fact, MK11 actually mostly tends to have more players than MK1, which is just tragic. But you know, it is what it is. But yeah, that's about the gist of it. So that's gonna be it for this video. I am gonna keep bringing you more combo videos, online matches, and video game news on Switch Played. Done.